don't answer at all. So let's talk about matchups. If the Warriors are looking for volunteers to shut down Jason Tatum this series, they might start with Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins. According to Second Spectrum, Kuminga held Tatum without a bucket on 5 attempts as the nearest defender. Wiggins held Tatum to just 1 of 7 from the field when the two teams played in Boston this season. Again, these two teams meeting twice in the regular season. They split the season series. Our former NBA champion, Kendrick Perkins, is joining us now. Perk, the expectation, right, is that Wiggins is going to draw the first assignment against Tatum in this series. We did see him have success against Luka Doncic in the West Finals. How do you anticipate that he's going to fare against Jason Tatum?
Well, did he really have success against Luka Doncic? Luka Doncic shot 51% when Andrew Wiggins was guarding him. I mean, look, I'm not taking anything away from Andrew Wiggins. I think he has been playing phenomenal basketball. But look, once you get to the finals, okay, it's all about can you sustain that level of play. And we talk about the Celtics being not experienced as the Warriors, and this is their first time here. Well, it's Andrew Wiggins' first time here. And from a guy that went to 5 NBA Finals and myself, I know that, one, your body gets fatigued and it's a mental toughness type thing. And I just want to see if Andrew Wiggins can sustain that. I don't believe he can. I think Jason Tatum is ready for the moment. I think Jason Tatum will own the matchup. I think Jason Tatum is going to help the Celtics raise banner 18 and win the Finals MVP. And I'm not being a homer here. I'm just telling you, Jason Tatum has had to go through a rough journey to get to these NBA Finals this season.
See, I love that. We just asked PTI, like, who's going to win, and we heard Kornheiser basically not give an answer. And I didn't even ask you who was going to win, and you're answering, Perk. I love it. Tatum averaging 27 points a game in these playoffs. We already know that, though, okay, along with all of the marquee names that are on these two teams. I want you to give us an X factor for both of these teams in this series, and start with the C's.
Well, you know I lived in Boston for 8.5 years, so tell me how my accent worked, okay?
Here we go.
My accent for the Celtics is Marcus Smart.
Marcus
Smart. I'm going with the defensive player of the year. When you talk about a guy that has been the most effective for his guarding Steph Curry in the Steve Kerr era, it has been Marcus Smart. 85 points per 100 possessions. Now, take it to the offensive end. When you look at Marcus Smart on the offensive end, and you talk about his facilitating, the Celtics are at their best when he's facilitating, okay? And then going to the Golden State Warriors, the unsung hero, Kevon Looney, okay? One of the most underpaid athletes in the game today. When you look at the effect that he had on the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference, they're going to need him to go against Big Al Horford and Robert Williams down there in the paint. They're going to need him to be that anchor on the defense when Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum is driving to the basket. Those two guys are going to be the deciding factor whether the Boston Celtics or the Golden State Warriors are going to be holding up the title at the end of this season.
Yeah, we're doing a whole lot of talking about who's got experience. Looney, plenty of finals experience, having played on this stage in 2018 and 2019. If you doubted him, it would not be Smart.
Look at you getting into your bag.
You know what I mean? Well, it's in the prompter. And almost upon us tomorrow night from San Francisco. And with that, we are ready for you. We've got Tim Bontemps on one side covering the Celtics. We've got Kendra Andrews covering the Warriors, as she always does. We'll check in with both of them in just a minute. But we're going to start with the Warriors, back in the finals after a 2-year hiatus as a franchise seeking their 7th title, which would break a tie with the Bulls for the 3rd most all time. Home court, a big advantage. As this may be prognosticating, Klay Thompson said earlier this season that it's championship or bust. Here's what he said today about that prediction.
Well, I made that observation because we started 18-2, and that's an incredible start. And I wasn't even in the lineup yet. We weren't even whole, so I just envisioned us as all the pieces of the puzzle together, and I thought we could attain greatness. So to be back for a 6th time, it's incredible. It's even incredible just saying that. It's just great. I'm just gonna enjoy every second of this and play as hard as I can, and then you can walk away with no regrets.
Reforming the identity of who we are and how we play, and then coming into this year, like I still was surprised by our start, like I said, but that was the gas in the tank for the whole summer and for the start of this year, knowing that we're going to be a problem this year. And we got 4 more wins to make it all worth it, but it's a good feeling.
Let's stay right there and start with the OGs. Of course, I'm referring to the Warriors, not Kendra Andrews. Kendra, we heard Clay allude to being back in the finals. How are the Warriors drawing on their experience at this stage as they prepare for Game 1?
Yeah, the Warriors are really drawing on the selflessness that they've played with to win at this stage. Draymond Green said it's really about keeping egos in check and understanding that as long as the team is winning as a whole, you are also going to win on an individual basis as well. And the Warriors, Klay Thompson said, I never really thought that I was going to be here for my 6th NBA final, especially after everything that I have been through. So they're trying to just really savor this moment, but as you heard him say, put everything out on the court, and he's really encouraging his teammates to do that as well.
They've certainly been rounding him to form. Klay Thompson, such a great story to see him back in the NBA Finals. But let's talk about the Celtics as well. Plenty of rife storylines on that side. I mentioned being the most winning, it's the 3rd most for the Warriors. How about the Celtics seeking an NBA record 18th World Championship, their first since 2008. Bumpy road for Boston, though, to the Finals. Celtics 4th team to reach the Finals despite having a losing record halfway through an 82-game season. Collectively, they have 581 games of playoff experience, but none of those games were in an NBA Finals. So here's Jason Tatum today.
No, it definitely does feel different, right? It's a lot more media, a lot more obligations, so it definitely does feel different. I'm sure, basketball is still basketball, but all the things leading up to it, it's unlike anything else.
I find that to be so adorable. He's like, there's so much more media when it comes to the finals. And we heard Tatum there just talk about his perspective. But what is the Celtics' perspective on their lack of finals experience as opposed to the Warriors?
Well, I actually asked him that question, Ellen. It was funny to see him kind of be starry-eyed, especially because Tatum is a pretty level-headed guy most of the time. But Ime Udoka has consistently said his team is going to be prepared for this series despite the fact it has no finals experience among its players. Take a listen to what he had to say about it today.
We have guys that are young but have been through a few Eastern Conference Finals already, and then our path this year, 2 Game 7s and playing some high-level teams and taking a tough route. I think that's prepared us more than anything. I coached in 2 finals my first 2 years in the league, got to a Western Conference Final as a player myself, and then we've had other coaches who have been through it and won championships as well. And so we can kind of give our advice on what's to come, but once we get out there, I think what's really been good about our group is they're not caught up in the moment. The Game 7s, playing on the road, you see our record. And more so than anything, it's just basketball. At the end of the day, that's what we try to stress, and I think that's the benefit of our group being so young and approaching it that way.
Well, and listen, that's the thing, as Ime Udoka said. This Celtics team has a lot of guys who have a ton of playoff experience. You said it before, Al. 580 games of playoff experience for this group. Al Horford played more playoff games than any player in NBA history without making the NBA Finals. And even these young guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart, they've all been to 3 or 4 Eastern Conference Finals already. So while they were a little overawed by the moment today and the media and everything else that's going on, they have played in a ton of big playoff games, and this team is very confident, as you said earlier, that they can come into this series, win 4 games, and get Banner 18 raised to the rafters at TD Garden.
Certainly confident on the road. You just heard Ime Udoka talk about their record. They're 7-2 on the road this postseason. That is tied for the most road wins entering a finals in NBA history. They're going to need that because they're facing the Warriors, who are a perfect 9-0 at home in the playoffs this season. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Kendra. Still ahead, because we're staying right here, of course. More on the finals. Tony and Mike are back with their picks for who will emerge as NBA champs.